So typically, yeah, users wouldn't know that's happening. So that's the nice thing. So, yeah. The way they use it shouldn't be impacted. The same commands run. Yeah. So that's the nice things. And you can notice that the Ansible, I would say the Ansible runner, right, the Ansible engine that you're familiar with, right, is already in the 2.11. Right? Things are already speed up already. But over here in Red Hat, right, our enterprise version that we support inside the Ansible Automation Platform remains to be 2.9. Right? And although 2.9 in the community project is considered old already. So the development really speed up on the community side. You see, they just went ahead and go to 11, to 12 soon. Yeah. So yeah, you can see the acceleration once we destructure things develop in their own pace already.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think Gineesh, list out a few topics that you can discuss about.
Just for 1 hour.
Let's see.
Disconnected installation should be even more well supported now, right? We sort of like start to package even more dependencies into the bundle installer. From what I know, are you still having problems?
Okay, for the disconnected one, I can see since 2.1 it's supported. So we do not have a clear documentation on how to set up this registry thing because we have a container involved. So we need because we are not talking about the OpenShift, still talking about the normal virtual machines or servers. So how to set up this registry, all those things, there is no clear documentation on the portal because we have the customers most of the times are it's a disconnected setup. They don't have internet, no proxies allowed. So this is kind of high in demand.
One thing I want to actually bring up to you, right? You know, a lot of the documentation, right? We are releasing it into the customer portal. So I think all the disconnected install, right? Even down here, I see all the
SS.redhat.
Yeah, it's in access.redhat.com. Yeah, Derek. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be there.
What
I understand is
go ahead, Derek.
No, what I want to say is what I understand is that for the image registry, right, it will be within the automation hub itself. So if you install a private automation hub, right, there will be an image registry part of the automation hub itself. So if customers do not have an existing image registry available, right, they can utilize the automation hub one and push the execution environments there, and then execute. This Ansible controller will utilize the execution environment inside the automation hub itself.
That means the automation hub should have connected to the internet like that.
You can do a private automation hub, right? So it's still disconnected. Yeah.
Okay.
At some time of time, you need to either you have to manually pull it, or you have to actually get it into the automation hub, right?
Okay.
And you have to build it from there. It's after all just a OV8 container image.
So if you are developing outside, right, then you can push to a external registry, maybe in AWS or in Quay, right? You can always do like a Scorpio copy down into your jump host, and then you can push it to your private automation hub, right? So it depends how you want to do it, right? That overall flow of pushing images from external to internal.
But the whole point is to secure it, right? Because I understand if you're doing disconnected install and you're having problems with all this, right? There's proper steps to get it in because in the first place you're trying to secure and make sure that the content or the images that you put in are inspected. I would say they are safe, right?
Okay, sure. So also the SSO thing, so we have the central SSO authentication thing now included, right? So I mean, do you have any documentation to share to learn more about that one?
Yeah, I remember I see it inside the customer portal as well, right? Yeah, so moving forward, right, 2.1, all the stuff will go into the customer portal. Unfortunately, you have to actually get an account to get in there and see.
Yeah. Okay. I think I
Yeah.
have to check there.
Yeah, I pasted the link for that documentation.
Yeah, the same 2.1. Yeah, I'm accessing the same. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite a lot of stuff. I think I'm
Mm.
looking forward to actually publish more stuff. So I'm talking to the business unit to update most of the documentation for around setting up even like SSO and all this, because previously we maintain it on Git, right, and we build our pages using XP docs, right, even spins. So now a lot of the things they are moving into the customer portal. So they have their dedicated technical writers doing all those things. So quite a large team created for that to port over a lot of stuff. So yeah, fortunately, sorry, we need your patience a bit, right, because it's quite a huge rewrite for a lot of stuff.
I see you have written catalog worker. Is it? What do you mean by catalog worker?
Yeah, actually, this one I'm not sure we covered this in the last sessions. So just want to know what is actual purpose of this
Are you
component.
referring to the service catalog?
Yeah, service catalog. So the catalog worker is something additional or is just the same node?
You mean the Ansible service catalog, is it?
Yeah, catalog service catalog. Yeah. Last time
Yeah,
we
yeah,
covered.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Ansible service catalog, right, is a SaaS service. It sort of like resembles. I don't know. Have you seen cloud forms before, right? So it sort of like resembles some service, even like ServiceNow and all this, right? Things are presented in tiles. So what it does is that it will become a front end interface for some of into your Ansible platform, automation platform jobs. Right? So if you want to fire off jobs, right, what happens is that you wouldn't want user to get into your Ansible automation platform GUI. Then you can actually hook it up into our Ansible automation catalog, right? What happens is that it presents a web GUI and it has full role-based access control, all managed by the Red Hat SSO, right? The customer portal SSO. So you can create groups and organizations and have role-based access control to limit and restrict access for all these automation jobs. So the idea here is that it allows you to break that business logic, right? You don't need your business logic to be inside Ansible automation platform, or what you may be familiar with is Ansible Tower now, right? It allows you to have all the business rules, or all the I would say the role-based access control, right, at the layer. That means we break it out and put it inside the automation service catalog. Right? So that's what it does, right? And of course, you need a Ansible automation platform subscription to make use of it. So
Actually,
have you
what's
played
going
around
on? I
with it
think
yet?
it's this thing is inside the inventory now, right? So with AAP 2.1, I think this is where Gineesh is coming from. A lot of new stuff is being added into the inventory file. So this is one of those things. Essentially, it helps you to go and connect the service catalog from the SaaS to the one that's on-prem, so that you can use it to run the automation. And the on-prem version, right, based on what we understand, is that it's going to come somewhere in April 2022. So this whole thing is going to be more seamless. That is what is going to happen.
Okay. So it's like kind of a runner, kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's
So
because like what Nicholas was describing, the service catalog itself inside the cloud, right?
yep.
You have to go through you select the portfolio that you want, you kick off it, you hit approve. It has to hit your AAP. But this is kind of how the whole thing can.
Oh, okay. It's kind of a local agent thing. So from
It-
there you push it, so the worker will take care of the thing.
Yeah, it will just run the job for you and then report back.
Okay, understood.
It's something like I would say a simplified service now. I would say, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, okay.
simplified.
Understood.
Yeah, but then the
Yeah.
business logic is limited. It's not a full fledged, right? So you can't have very
It's not.
sophisticated, approval flows, right? It's enough, right, for most people. And the way I look at it is that because it says, right, it in a way it can behave like a aggregation or a central point for all your users. So imagine if you have a lot of Ansible Automation Platform clusters, right, running all over the place. If you want to hook everything up, right, that's one place you can do it, right? You can actually hook it up at the automation catalog site, right? Because it's a SaaS, right? It hooks up to all your Ansible Tower, right? So different jobs or different service requests, right, may be making use of different clusters. Right? So in that case, you can use the service catalog as a central point, right, to fire out jobs to different clusters, because after all, different clusters may be looking after different things. That's the usefulness part of it, which I see. Yeah.
Okay. It's
Also, if
great.
you think about how AWS Service Catalog is working, right? So, we don't have all this fancy logic. It's because we see it as I'm ordering a service, right? So then once approved, it kicks off, as opposed to having all this business logic like what we have in ServiceNow. And hence you have those kind of, the Ansible spook in ServiceNow as a plugin to do all those complex stuff. It's a bit different, but it helps us to, if you just wanted something like what you order from, let's say AWS Service Catalog, right? That's what we can do.
It has a RESTful API as well. So
Okay.
so basically, if you want you want it to be talking to our service catalog, right? If you have built business logic, or even you have another service request, ITSM service request platform portal, right? You can fire off into our SaaS, right, and kick off the I would say the services, right, the automation services over there. Right. So you can see that what it does is that it sort of like centralize build multiple layers of management, so that you can actually put in business logic or integrate with a lot of other solutions you have. Right. So if you have your own portal, then you can integrate it with our service catalog SaaS, right, if you want to. Right. So there's a lot of ways to integrate it.
Can I say Catalog is more of like a self-service and assisted way of deploying, automating things?
Yeah, it's mainly self-service.
Yeah,
Yes, you're
mainly
right.
self-service, right? So
Yeah.
you will have all it's like a menu catalog, right? So you just need to go and choose what you want to do and then just click the catalog, and then that is an easy way to start with if you are using the Ansible Automation Platform with the connected architecture, because it's mainly a SaaS offering from cloud.radar.com, right? So that is something which, if you are on a connected architecture, it is easy to start with.
Yeah. Actually, it feels like to me, it's another survey, automation, the tower survey that you are used to, right? But now it's available as a software, right? Software as a service in the cloud. And it allows you to put in variables and inputs as well,
Yeah.
to a certain level. And then you fire out the job at the Ansible Tower or the Ansible platform site, right? You choose the endpoint you want to fire off to, right, the AAP endpoint.
And is it possible to customize the catalog?
Say again?
Customizing the catalog. I mean, let's say if
Uh,
I want to create my own automation.
Yeah. You just build. Now, after all, it's just a tile, right?
Yeah.
It's just a tile. Then after you click on it, it has all the inputs. So whatever your automation job, right? The that means the crux of all the automation, all the playbook that you've written, right, is actually all still residing on your AAP side. Right? So you just fire out the AAP job on your from our side only, from the cloud side. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, since there are so many questions, we have a short video on this, right? Basically, it just goes through some of those things inside the service catalog. You can see that this is very much like what Nicholas was saying with this platform stuff that we used to have. So you can have different products, portfolio, platforms, and then it's up to you to customize, to build. You order it, and it will just trigger off the actual automation itself. Right. So this is like just stepping you through what you will be able to do when you use the service catalog. I'm just going to play the video for the next 1 minute short video. Have a look.
Sometimes it looks as though that it's like clicking on an operator like that, right? It almost feels like it.
Yeah, it's like self-service. It's up to you to design, create. You can change your logo, the picture, and it just will kick off the automation from the back end. So like in this case, we are ordering a Linux 8, right? So this is the extra vast that Nick was talking about, right? With all these different variables that we can pass in, just like survey form. You can decide what you want to select, the memory, the CPU, and those kind of information. Once you submit, right, it just goes on to the order page. So you have this very simple one-level approval, right? Sometimes it's just auto-approve, depending on how you do those things. And all the details will be here, right? Once this is done, it just kicks off, like in this case, it's approved, right? So it just kicks off the automation accordingly. So that's kind of what this thing is doing, right?
It's quite a fancy, I would say a fancy service catalog. So if you're tired, I mean the integration is pre-built, right? So it's fairly easy to onboard the AAP into this portal, and sort of like if your requirements are quite basic, right? It's just as a service catalog to kick off self-service for infrastructure management, or like requesting a cluster, requesting a VM developer teams, right? They want to spin up VM, they want to spin down VMs. For us, this was inspired where, our RHPDS, right, our demo system, our workshops, the very popular Ansible workshops, right? It was inspired by that, right? Because they wanted to build something that, allows self-service. So clicking on it, it will give you a instance or infrastructure or a cluster or a workshop, right? Things like that. Very, very simple, straightforward. And you wouldn't need to actually build or even buy an expensive subscription for like ServiceNow or any ITSM solution. So it's sort of like allows you to use it, right, as part of the AAP subscription.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's the difference, right? When you have an AAP subscription or not. A lot of stuff is there.
I see, Gineesh, you have one of the last questions, I think we have is minimum configuration. Is it dealing with the inventory file or?
Okay, yeah. Actually, we have several components inside, like AAP, Automation Hub, Private Hub, all those worker things. So still, we can proceed with, because now there is no tower, so still we can proceed with this minimum tower thing, that old tower thing, right? Like
yes,
the controller and the execution environment.
I believe it's still the same, right? I think that you're still able to do a all-in-one installation.
Yeah.
Right. There's no changes. Definitely individual components like Private Automation Hub, and if you want to install multiple controllers and the external database, right, all these things is still the same as before. There are no changes around that.
Yeah, exactly what Derek says. Yeah, no change already. So that's why I say, although if move on to version 2, we architect it, right? But the config file, you can see a lot of things, but a lot of things didn't change as well. The same extra vars when you do the config file, still very much the same. The AIO is still the same. So if you want to use it like the way you used it before, just put in the stuff, the config that you're used to, ignore the rest that doesn't make sense to you or new to you, and you still get your AIO.
Okay, yeah. Because we have different requirements, so there usually we just need one machine or all-in-one, or maybe just Node plus that external database. So I just want to confirm 1.21 still okay to propose, or we need to wait.
Yeah, exactly. We have many customers who are on AIO, man.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
doesn't change. The demands are still the same.
Okay.
But I think it's good to point out that because Automation Hub is going to become an integral part of this whole solution, right? So unless you want to control it like what one of the customers are doing using Git and pipelines, if not, maybe it's good to also have this Automation Hub as part of your proposal. If not, you have to take care of the CI/CD portion quite a fair bit as well.
Okay, you mean the CI/CD of the execution environment
The
images?
environment, making where do you fetch your collections? Do you get it from a table? Where do you get all those things from? Right. So let's say if you do not have an automation hub, those things are stuff that you want to consider as well. Getting it from somewhere else, or
Yeah. For example, let's say if you have most of the customers when they start, maybe they have three or four use cases. So once we set up the execution environment, the image with all the collections inside, so I think pipeline new build will be very rare unless they have some requirement to update with the latest collection. But the automation hub, we have requirement. You cannot use the same database for automation hub, right? If I'm not mistaken.
you can use the same Postgres.
Oh, that means we can share the database for automation hub, and
it will just be a separate. So it's like the first one is going to be AWX, right? So that's the standard one. The other one will be the database for.
oh, okay.
So you can share.
Okay. Earlier, I thought we should have a different database server for. Okay, understood.
Yeah, you can point it there. So it's configurable inside the inventory file.
Okay. Then maybe I can. Okay. Thanks.
It's just more because of how things are going to change moving on. If we go without automation hub, then you may get into other maintenance issues from a day-to perspective. But I do agree with you that most customers probably will just stick with the same image. Maybe the next time when they do it is when there's a change. Let's say from, like AAP 2.0 corresponds to Ansible Core 2.1.1. The 2.1 actually corresponds to Core 2.1.2, right? So then when those things happen, you have to rebuild that image.
Okay.
And that will become the point whereby you have to go and think about all these steps again. Whereas if you have everything inside the hub, then it's much easier to manage from a day-to perspective. So it's more about, do you want to do more initially, or do you want to spend more time doing the maintenance later on, right? But there's a trade-off depending on how frequent you are doing all these things. If you are doing it, once every half a year or something, and you don't think that it's that much needed for the hub, then yeah, go ahead.
Okay, understood. Also, maybe I'm not sure I missed. Do we have a kind of a minimum requirement for the automation hub, like memory, CPU spec? I'm not sure I missed the documentation.
We are still going to go with around 4 CPU and 16 gig for a start, right? So if it doesn't meet, then obviously we will try to increase. But I think more or less it should be enough, because as you said, not every time you will be querying the hub.
Correct.
You query only when you need, right? Then the strategy that you're setting for when you run the playbook, are you going to pull the image every time, or are you going to pull the image if it doesn't exist, right? Because we base it on the version tagging. So those things are going to affect the frequency that you are querying that hub itself. But by and large, usually 4 CPU, 16 gig RAM is sufficient in most cases.
Okay, so still we can proceed with the minimal one, right? For 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Just do the minimum. I don't expect that you're gonna query it very, very frequent. Right?
Yeah.
Unless you
Not
pull the
really.
container image every time when you run the playbook, then.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But usually not, right? We will pull if does not exist, right?
Correct.
That's the usual strategy that we set.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Too much performance there, then you have to understand why. Maybe someone has set it up wrongly.
Yeah, true.
Correct.
Okay.
The
Thanks.
Really
sizing is there
version
in the
control for you to keep track of all the stuff, for you to put your content inside your private Ansible Galaxy, right? Basically, that's what this is.
Yeah, correct. Okay, thanks. That's all.
Still is just a text, right? Even container image is just you're just pulling a very, very minimal image.
It probably wouldn't take too much load.
Wouldn't really. We're just being generous to ask for 4 CPU.
Yeah, I think it's like one laptop specs, 4
Yeah,
CPU, 16 gig
Yeah.
RAM.
Exactly. Nowadays,
Correct,
like one
correct.
laptop, right? Wow, you see, imagine like 10 years ago, you talk like that, people will say, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay. Because the documentation says like a minimum 8 GB kind of thing, so I was just checking it's okay or not. Yeah. Okay.
It shouldn't be too big of an issue. If you need to reduce it to 8 GB RAM, I think it will still be okay. Because you're running a RHEL 8, and after that on top is container registry plus storing the collections. It's just that usually for customers we go with 16. Right?
Okay.
For production, right? Maybe on the UAT side or dev side we can reduce it.
If you're playing around with it, it's all right. You want to tune it down, right? But for production cases, right, this is the basis. How our support team support it, right? Because they will want to actually make sure that you run the minimum specs. So if you're in production and you you don't want to get in the mess of running unsupported specs, right? Then take the minimal.
Okay, sure.
If you're just development, go ahead. You can wind it down or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
The sizing is there in the documentation. I just sent it to chat.
Yeah,
Yep.
correct. Chat. Okay, yeah. I'm
2
referring to the
CPU,
same
8
one.
gig.
2 CPU, 8 gig. Yeah, I'd say that's
Yeah.
I just confirm.
If not, you can just start with that if they have, limitations on the resource.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. Thanks.
And looks like next year's Ansible test is still going to be virtual. Again, we're not seeing anything yet. Even all my marketing activities are still virtual, unfortunately.
Thanks, Gineesh, for your questions. Anybody else have any other questions they would like to raise or want us to discuss a bit more of? I'm not sure from Anthony or Chidam, do you guys have any questions from your customers that you see have been raised more commonly now, right? Especially when it's nearing the end of the life cycle for the Tower series, right? 1.2. Is there any concerns?
I think the main thing is about migration, right? So that's another question that customer likes to ask: what has to be done? So we do have quite a fair bit of stuff to look at. Right? For instance, the collection moving to we call that the fully qualified collections name, right? So the path has to change. The usage of execution environment, making sure that the playbooks are refactored so that it will work. And in the interim, maybe we can use the 2.9 compatible EE image. Those kind of things are questions that gets brought up as well, on top of whether this is only running on OCP, running on OpenShift, or can it run on VM, right? So those are the stuff that we see quite a fair bit.
From my side, some of the customers who are currently on those isolated nodes and architecture. So when it comes to the upgrade with AAP, so those are the architecture which we need to have some closer look to see how we can convince customer, or how we to see the future of automation, have a mesh, and so on in the future. So that is something which we are working with our customers.
Yeah, I hear you. I think there was one community or practice Ansible session that I was watching, and I think I'm not sure in this region anybody has attempted it, but in the North America or EMEA, some of them tried to run the setup.sh script, right, to upgrade to update the isolated nodes to the new mesh nodes, right? So that is something that is a bit scary. Also, not sure whether how it entirely works or whether there's whether it might break or not, right? So all these things, especially I'm not sure where mesh nodes is only that single mesh node that is there, right? What happens if it breaks, right? So that is something that I think we also need to test a bit more.
Yeah. I would suggest my customer to build a automation hub with the private automation hub and the AIP 2.0 and just point to the source, single source of truth. Whatever the current playbook that you're executing. So just have the base configurations and point to the single source of truth. Because automation being agile, where it is not heavily rely on one single automation platform or Ansible tower, right? So you can just think of those if you are planning to migrate.
Yeah, I understand. I think mesh has quite a lot of capabilities, I think, in place. I think the next few versions will see a lot of good things from it.
Mesh is something that we want to actually take advantage of edge devices, right? So if there are edge devices or edge automation use cases, automation hub will be really useful out there.
I think the next one, which is important, is the edge IoT use case as well, right? With mesh, that's also one area that we can push for. So those things will be more futuristic, but definitely going to happen within the next 1 or 2 years.
And we I mean, I think we are having now different nodes, right? Like the execution node, hop nodes, controller nodes, and the hybrid nodes. Yeah. So it's like the edge is
new architecture.
Yeah, new architecture, and the edge is even more making more realistic use cases, right?
Correct. Because once you have the hop node, you can basically hop on to something that's even very far away, right? So that's kind of
like Wi-Fi mesh, I guess.
Wi-Fi mesh.
Sorry. Sorry. So the execution node is like kind of we can just consider as a isolation node in the old one, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
That's at the very end. So you can connect to it via hop nodes. So it just relay the message across. It's like Bastion,
Yeah. So instead of the
jump through.
So it's not using SSH anymore, but using the mesh concept and.
I think it's still going to be SSH. It's just that,
Oh, it's still SSH.
Like, assume that you are having isolated node in the past for each firewall zone or each segmented area, right? So assume that you are going to have a hub node for that particular isolated or the firewall zone or that particular data center. You just keep one hub node, and the hub node will have the connectivity to the local execution node to execute in the end clients. So all these hub nodes, the control plane is all connected using the automation hub mesh.
Yeah, I remember. I honestly I haven't played with it yet, right? Because it's just a few weeks old. But I remember reading it, right? We stopped using SSH and we are using, they're not wrong, TLS. Yeah, because of the TLS. So mainly we want to move away from SSH because of the problems with keys, then and all this, right? So we move away from that, and then actually also with SSH, there's a problem of latency, right? So if we don't use SSH, now we don't have to worry about latency for edge devices. So the automation mesh would have better performance today compared to isolated nodes, mainly of the way it operates now. Move away from SSH.
Okay. Yeah, because we have this concern from clients. Sometimes they say SSH, then sometimes they have to add the gem server in between proxies. Yeah, I think if you can represent good actually.
Yeah, the design is different already. Have a look
Yeah.
at it. I haven't had
Yeah.
a chance to play with it. Maybe the next meetup we can talk about it. I haven't
Yeah.
yet to get my hands on it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might do that the next meetup, talk about automation mesh.
Correct.
Yeah.
Quite
Let's
interesting.
do that.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? Anything else they want to talk about?
Yeah, maybe where to get your swag and all this. Yeah, I'm wondering whether if anyone is interested, right? What I can do is I can leave it at our new office, right? Service office, the reception. I mean, if anyone is interested, just come by and get it, right? I can leave something with our GWS guys, our office people, right? So stickers, things like that. I still have a lot of stickers. So anyone interested, right? Maybe put it in the meetup chat or whatever, right? And I'll make sure I'll leave some stickers behind at our Raffles Place office.
Okay, I think if there are no other questions, I think I give everybody back their time. Wish you guys a happy holidays and rest of the year. We will reconvene next year, right? Another meetup session. Probably we'll go through mesh and also any other questions that you might have. Okay. Thank you everybody for attending. Have a great
Right.
day.
Thank you all.
Hey, thanks, Derek, Chidan, Anthony.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thanks
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care, guys.